Beneath an Angry Sky by Vivid Comet. Chapter 4 All the Love, All the Kindness. Scar doesn't know when he falls asleep, doesn't know how he manages to fall asleep on the shoulder of a supervillain, but Mimic is gone by the time he wakes up. Irrationally, his first instinct is to be disappointed, then upset with himself for daring to have grown so fond of the company of a villain. A villain who he knows personally, a traitorous little voice in his head whispers. He deigns to ignore it. Slowly, methodically, he sits up. Mimic must have moved him to the couch at some point. The last thing Scar remembers is having been on the armchair. Jelly is curled up beside him, purring quietly, and the overwhelming sense of something eases just enough that he can breathe easier. Mimic is gone. And that's fine. For the best, probably. This way, Scar doesn't have to worry about the moral dilemma of whether or not to turn the villain in. This way, he can begin to forget about his personal connection to the guy. He won't, of course. He can't. But he can surely try. The sun is high in the sky, streaming through the windows and painting delicate sunbeam patterns onto the floor. Disoriented, Scar scrubs at his eyes and blinks groggily at the clock on the wall, ticking away. It's nearly noon. Scar finds himself drifting just a bit, wandering aimlessly around his house as Jelly follows him, purring curiously. He's not entirely sure what to do. Mimic isn't here, and Grian is missing, and there's blood on his armchair, and probably on his couch, and everything is a lot. It's a lot. He doesn't shut down, not completely, but he certainly isn't truly awake until at least an hour after he stands up and gets off the couch. At this point, his stomach coaxes him back into the present with a discontent growl, and he glares down at it for a moment before remembering, oh, he never ate breakfast, did he? So he reluctantly makes his way to the kitchen, resolving himself to eat the casserole he'd prepared earlier. Never mind that it's burnt. Scar put the effort into making it, and he refuses to let it go to waste. When he arrives at the table, though, the casserole is covered up and half gone. A note rests beside it. Thank you for your help, Scar, it reads. I truly cannot repay you for how much you've done for me. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to contact me at this number. A phone number is listed below. Scar just stares at it for a moment because why would Mimic give him a phone number? Why would the villain give Scar any way to contact him? Is he insane? Also, thank you for the casserole. It was delicious. There's a smiley face. There's a smiley face. There's so much wrong with all of this, really. The phone number, the note, the fact that the burnt casserole certainly was not delicious, but all Scar can focus on is the smiley face. That stupid smiley face. Scar crumples up the note and turns towards the trash. He tries to pretend that he hasn't already memorized the number. He drops the note into the trash. It lands on a half-eaten piece of horribly burnt breakfast casserole. Scar isn't sure whether he wants to laugh or cry. He doesn't get a chance to decide. His phone rings and it's in his hand and pressed to his ear immediately. He can't allow himself to hope. He can't. But every bone in his body is praying that the caller is who he thinks it is. Hello? He croaks. Hey! Grian sounds frazzled. Scar wants to sob. God, I am so sorry. I fell asleep early last night and then work this morning was hectic. I'm so sorry I didn't text you back. It's fine, Scar manages weakly. His legs decide that they're tired of supporting him and he has to lower himself to the floor unsteady. Are you okay? You had a rough day yesterday, and I know you hate it when I don't respond. Grian's voice is horribly guilty, and Scar can imagine his best friend shifting back and forth on his feet, lips pursed, the permanent furrow between his eyebrows creasing deeper than usual. Scar gasps for breath. His head is spinning with the force of his relief, and forming a response is all too difficult. No, yeah, I'm fine. Grian hums doubtfully, and Scar exhales. Just, where were you? The anxiety in Scar's voice is barely restrained, and he knows that he can't hide it from Grian, no matter how hard he tries. His mind is racing, and he feels sick, almost. He rests a shaky hand over his heart to try and calm it. Because Grian is here, now, but he was gone before, and for far too long. Scar couldn't help the gruesome thoughts that flickered on the insides of his eyelids. Shot, stabbed, strangled, cut or bloody or bruised or dead. Breathing, Scar. Grian reminds him softly, worriedly, and Scar has to suck in a deep breath to ward off the black dots speckling his vision. Keep an eye on it. Right, Scar croaks. Right, sorry, He breathes and tries for a feeble laugh. Sorry. What have we said about apologizing? Scar's face twists into something akin to shaky amusement. Don't do it? Scar can picture the way that Grian shrugs. Close enough. A short pause. Are you breathing? Yeah, Scar huffs weakly. Would I be talking to you if I wasn't? Okay, sure, but are you focusing on breathing? I'm focusing on talking to you, Scar mutters. That's the thing that's helping. Right. Grian softens. You know what? Why don't you come visit the cafe? My shift doesn't end for another few hours. I was a bit late today, so I'm gonna be here longer than usual. I. Scar winces, ashamed. Grian is in the middle of a shift, and he took a break to call Scar to try and reassure him. And now Grian is offering for Scar to come visit. Throat tight, Scar tries for a chuckle. It falls flat. Oh, don't worry about me, G. I wouldn't want to bother. Okay, I'm going to be more clear because you obviously don't get it. Scar flinches at Grian's blunt words. I love you, and I want to see you, and I would like you to come to the cafe, but I understand if you want to just stay home. I know you had a long day yesterday. Oh, Scar breathes. Yeah, I'd like to come. There's a smile in Grian's voice. Good, I'll see you soon. Grian doesn't hang up, though. He waits until Scar manages, see you soon, and then he stays on the line until Scar finally musters up the courage to end the call himself. He stands, unsteady, then walks. Jelly meows at him as he leaves, cane in hand, feeling all too weary and all too exhausted. The lump in his throat grows even as he slowly makes his way down the street towards the cafe that he's grown so familiar with over the years. Every breath is strained and every step hurts, and his body is impossibly heavy. The little bell on the door jingles as Scar enters the cafe, and almost immediately Grian makes eye contact with him. His best friend's face splits into a wide grin. Scar! He cheers, and Scar can only stand there as Grian circles around the counter, completely disregarding the customer he'd been about to help. As he hurries up to Scar's side, he calls over his shoulder, Tim, could you help them out? Thank you. As Grian speaks, a man gives him a thumbs up. There's a tag pinned to his chest that simply says, Jimmy, and Scar manages a shaky smile as he waves to Grian's coworker. Hey, Jimmy, he greets weakly, and Jimmy gives him a quick grin, nodding to him as he notes down the customer's order. Nice to see you. Jimmy might say something in response, or he might not. Scar doesn't notice. All of his attention is fixated on Grian. Grian, his best friend, who is here. Hi. Grian's voice is soft, gentle. You're crying. Hi, Scar manages in return. He hadn't even realized that the tears in his eyes had finally slipped down his face. I guess I am. Grian purses his lips and scrutinizes Scar closely, eyebrows furrowed. After a few seconds, his face clears and he exhales with a quiet sort of sadness. Come here, Scar, he murmurs, and Scar doesn't hesitate. Grian tugs him into a tight hug, and Scar hides his face in Grian's shoulder, trying to restrain the sobs that threaten to escape. Grian presses his nose into Scar's neck, and his breath is warm on Scar's skin, grounding. Scar can't help it. His breath hitches and he curls his fingers into Grian's back, as if Grian will disappear if he loosens his grip. But Grian gasps and he stiffens, pulling instinctively away from Scar and gritting his teeth. Scar lets him go, eyes wide, immediately forgetting about his own problems because Grian is more important than any of that. Are you okay? He demands instantly. He scans up and down Grian's body as if he'll be able to see whatever injury is plaguing him. What happened? Nothing, Grian insists, lifting his hands in surrender. Nothing, it just startled me. Scar stares at Grian, head reeling. Okay, he agrees breathlessly, and Grian relaxes minutely, but then Scar says, Let's step outside. And Grian tenses once again. I can't, he blurts, casting a quick glance back at Jimmy, who's eyeing the two of them oddly. I've got to stay here, I don't want to leave Tim alone, and I was already late. Go ahead, Grian, Jimmy interrupts, and Grian casts a betrayed look at him. Jimmy shrugs, unrepentant. I can take care of things for 10 minutes. He squints meaningfully, and the unsaid words ring clear. Scar needs you. Jim, Grian pleads under his breath, but Scar nods decisively. Come on, Grian! He wraps his fingers around Grian's wrist, carefully at first, just in case Grian is injured elsewhere, then tightens his grasp. Let's go. He keeps his voice as light as possible, though he can't hide the hoarseness of his voice. Grian resists at first, trying to tug away from Scar, but finally gives in and allows Scar to drag him out of the cafe and off to the side. As soon as they're out of the way, Scar's easy attitude wavers. Can we talk? He has to ask, voice cracking. Grian presses his lips together, pushes up his glasses to avoid Scar's eyes, but nods. Scar nods back. I'm worried. About you. Did something happen? Grian swallows, turns his face away from Scar. It's really not a big deal, it barely even hurts. It barely hurts, Scar echoes, then shakes his head. I don't care. What happened? I didn't want to worry you, Grian tries, voice lifting in his desperation to convince Scar. It was just one thing. It's really nothing. It's over now, anyways, and you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about me, Scar hears. You don't have to bother caring about me. Scar sets his jaw. I love you. he states, mimicking Grian's earlier words over the phones. I love you, and I care about you because you're my best friend and the most incredible person I know, and if you're hurt, I want to know so I can help. Grian shakes his head, but his resolve is clearly cracking. I don't want to worry you, he whispers. I want you to worry me, Scar counters easily, because even though yesterday was difficult, he knows how to talk to Grian. He knows how to ease his best friend's anxieties. He's done it a million times before, and he'll do it a million times in the future, and this is nothing new to him. Grian's breath hitches and he sniffles. Scar softens. Can you tell me what happened, G? Grian squeezes his eyes shut. He doesn't respond, but Scar can hear the unsaid words. Please don't make me answer that. Scar closes his eyes, breathless, then opens them again. Okay. He bites down hard on the inside of his cheek to keep himself from tearing up. Have you gotten it taken care of at least? You may not believe this, but I'm actually trained in first aid. At this, Grian laughs hoarsely. He scrubs at his face, shoving up his glasses with his fingertips. Yeah? He doesn't sound surprised. That's cool. How'd that happen? Scar shrugs, aware of his heart beating in his chest. He can't exactly tell Grian his real job, after all, but he's well versed in the art of lying on the spot. Figured it would be useful a few years back. He squints at Grian. Was I right? This time, Grian's laugh is more genuine. I'm sure you were, yes, but, no, someone already fixed me up. Thank you, though. Both of them are quiet, just for a moment. Grian! Scar demands suddenly. Are you cheating on me? Are you best friend cheating on me? Grian splutters. What? No, what? Scar shakes his head in disbelief. After all this time, you went to someone else? You cheated on me! No, Scar, Grian laughs, truly laughs, bright and high-pitched and loud, not just weak and tired. And Scar beams, because really that's all he wanted, just to make Grian smile when he's been looking so exhausted lately. I'm not cheating on you, no. Phew! Scar mimes, wiping sweat off his forehead. Well, that's a relief. Grian giggles and Scar's heart lightens. Well, hey, I've kept you for long enough. Why don't you get on back to work? And you'll stay, Grian states, and it's not a request. Scar's chest, which is still tight from his earlier anxiety, loosens just a bit. He hadn't wanted to just let Grian go if he's being honest with himself. He thinks that if he'd left the cafe behind and gone back home, he'd have collapsed into the same panic as he experienced when Grian wouldn't answer his calls. He knows where Grian is now, but his nervous system is still undeniably fragile, and he doesn't think that he'd be able to handle being apart from Grian. Not yet, at least. It's for that reason that as soon as Grian's shift is over, Grian takes one look at Scar's face and decides, I'm coming over to your place. Scar doesn't complain. He just lets Grian take his hand and drag him home. Grian marches into the house like he owns the place. He does, in a way. He has a drawer with his clothes, and he has his own armchair, and he has a seat at the table just for him. So it's really quite natural for Grian to take out his own set of keys to Scar's house and open the door, stooping over to scratch Jelly's ears as he pulls Scar over towards the couch. Sit, he demands, and Scar does, propping his cane up beside him. He clasps his hands together in his lap and bites down hard on the inside of his cheek. I'm going to make us both something to eat. Scar blinks slowly. Why? His mind is moving slowly as if through molasses, and it takes twice as long as it should to process Grian's words. Grian shrugs. I'm hungry. And besides, he jabs a finger at Scar. I sincerely doubt that you had anything to eat for lunch today. What makes you say that? Scar complains. I could have eaten something. I'm not that useless. You're not useless at all, Grian agrees, but there's a burnt casserole on your table. Ah. Scar had forgotten about that. He scrunches up his face and crosses his arms, but he doesn't argue anymore, and Grian nods, satisfied. Grian makes them both a late lunch. Early dinner? Scar doesn't know. This isn't out of the ordinary for Grian. He often ensures that Scar has consumed even something small at some point in the day. Scar eats it slowly, distantly. He can't taste it on his tongue. He isn't even sure what he's eating. All he knows is that Grian's eyes linger on him throughout it all, forehead pinched, and then takes his plate when Scar doesn't seem like he's going to eat anymore. Hey. Scar blinks, then turned to Grian, who must have sat down next to him at some point. Grian's head is tilted and his mouth is twisted in something knowing. Long day, he asks, and it's not really a question, but Scar sucks a breath in anyway and nods. He doesn't speak. He doesn't have to. Grian hums. Yeah, I thought so. He takes Scar's hand and squeezes it. Is it a game kind of night, a curl up and watch a movie kind of night, or a hide under the covers kind of night? Scar swallows. He realizes hazily that his entire body is trembling, the sensation only eased by Grian's steady grip on his hand. The last one, I think, he finally rasps, then closes his eyes. Sorry. Grian whacks his hand lightly to reprimand him for his apology. Stop that. He leaves Scar on the couch for a few minutes while he goes to collect everything they need, and Scar has to bite down on his tongue to keep himself from crying out and begging Grian to stay by his side. He's fine, after all. He's an adult. He can deal with this. He's fine. Grian comes back with 2 blankets draped over his shoulders, a glass of water in one hand, and a very disgruntled cat tucked under his arm. Jelly wanted to say hi, he says as he sets her down on Scar's lap, and although Jelly huffs, quite clearly not wanting to say hi in the slightest, she curls up with him and closes her eyes. Scar manages a weak smile. Thanks. Grian smiles back at him and presses the glass of water into his hands. Drink, he orders. You ate something, which is good, but you need to hydrate. You'll feel better. A pause. Once you're done with that, I'll make us both a cup of tea. Sound good? Scar exhales softly through his nose, amused. Yeah, he agrees softly. Sounds good. Grian sits down next to him and lifts an arm. Come here, Scar, he instructs. Don't be a stranger, bud. Come on. And Scar curls into Grian's side, snuggling in as Grian lowers his arm around Scar's shoulders. Scar slots into the spot like he's meant to be there, and Scar pulls a blanket over both of them. And Jelly sprawls out beside them, and Scar breathes. Grian breathes too, slow and deeply, as if he's trying to remind Scar to do the same. He holds Scar tightly, and the pressure is enough to ease Scar's nerves. He squeezes his eyes shut and focuses on Grian's presence, the warmth pressing against his side, the arm around his shoulders, the rhythmic heartbeat thudding away. You want to talk about it? Grian murmurs, and Scar exhales shakily. Can't, he manages. I can't. Can't as in don't want to, or can't as in can't? Scar just shakes his head. Can't, he repeats, because he doesn't know the right answer, and Grian seems to understand because he nods and sighs. You worry me, Scar, he breathes. Scar flinches. Sorry, he whispers, and Grian huffs. Do you remember that whole speech you gave me a few hours back, the whole thing about, I want you to worry me, or whatever? He doesn't wait for Scar to nod before he continues. You think that doesn't go both ways? If you're allowed to worry about me, I'm allowed to worry about you. Idiot, he tacks on as if an afterthought, and Scar laughs hoarsely. Right, right. A beat passes. Sorry. Shut up. Scar yawns and closes his eyes, letting his head rest on Grian's shoulders. I'm tired, he admits quietly, and they both know that he means more than just physically. Yeah, Grian whispers. I know, bud. A pause. Why don't you get some sleep? And then, when Scar stiffens, heart rate immediately spiking, he promises, I won't go anywhere. I'll be right here, I promise. Well, he shrugs. I might get up to make myself some tea, but I won't be far. I won't leave until you're awake. Pinky swear. Pinky swear, Scar mumbles, already drifting off. You promise? I promise, Scar, Grian swears. A hand cards through his hair, and he exhales, content. Sleep. Go. Now. Scar's restless dreams are filled with villains and masks and blood. The next time Scar is aware of his surroundings, Jelly is no longer at his side and Grian is sitting in the armchair scrolling on his phone. Scar tenses instantly, not only because Grian isn't next to him anymore, but also because Grian is sitting in the chair that most certainly has not been effectively cleaned from when Mimic bled over it just last night. Grian doesn't seem to notice the dark stains, or if he does, he doesn't seem to care. He just scrolls on his phone and sips periodically at a mug of something steaming in his free hand. As soon as Scar sits up, blinking blearily and yawning, Grian's eyes shoot to him. I have a mug of tea for you, he informs Scar instantly, without so much of a greeting. Want it? Scar appreciates the thought. He really, really does. But he thinks that anything that goes into his stomach at the moment will come right back up, so he shakes his head and rasps, I'm fine, thank you. Grian doesn't argue. Okay. He leans back in the chair, resting his elbows on the arms. Scar winces as one of Grian's hands almost brushes against a dark red splotch on the teal upholstery. Grian doesn't comment. So, he starts instead. Sleep well? Despite everything, Scar snorts and Grian cracks a grin. You could say that, he allows. Would you say that? Almost definitely not. Figures. Grian stands and moves towards the couch. He flops down on it casually, throwing his legs over Scar's lap and folding his arms behind his head with a content sigh. Almost instinctively, Scar rests a hand on his friend's ankle. He smiles, soft and easy. It's quickly soured by the realization of how dark it actually is outside. Grian, he starts shifting nervously. It's getting late. Grian lifts his head, propping himself up on the couch. Yeah, it is. Want me to head out? Scar stalls, because honestly, he doesn't know. Part of him wants to beg Grian to stay, but Grian has his own life as well. Grian spent one half of his day working ceaselessly in the cafe, and the other half working to take care of Scar. That's not fair to him. But on the other hand, is it fair to ask Grian to leave after everything? Can he really just kick Grian out? He'd ask Grian to choose to make it easier on both of them, but he knows he'd be a wreck if Grian chose to leave. And that's so selfish and so unfair to Grian, but Scar can't help it. He can't. Grian sighs, cutting through his spiraling mind. Look, Scar, no matter what you choose, you're going to feel guilty. We both know that. So pick what'll make you most comfortable and I won't be offended either way. Deal? Okay, Scar manages. He swallows, throat tight, then whispers, "Can you go? Sorry, I'm sorry." "Don't be," Grian says simply, and he stands. "It's just, I have a lot to do," Scar blurts. I missed work today, and something really weird happened last night and this morning, and I'm trying to process that, and I just... Scar, mate! Grian half laughs, forehead creasing. He's already set his mug down and lifted Jelly to kiss her goodbye on the nose. "You don't need to justify anything. Really, you don't. I'm not upset. I'm not offended. I swear, it's okay." "Okay," Scar whispers, his heart rate calms. "Okay, yeah, could you go?" He forces himself to swallow the apology that tries to bubble up. Grian must notice the effort because he beams, pleased, and sets Jelly back down on the floor. "Of course, Scar," he says easily. "I'll see you soon?" "Yeah," Scar agrees breathlessly. "I'll see you soon. Don't forget to eat something else." "I won't." He watches as Grian leaves, then closes his eyes and takes a deep, steadying breath. His hands tremble as he pulls out the phone, and he pauses, focusing on calming down enough to do what he needs to do. He enters the number that's been burned into his mind and begins to type. "Scar. Come back within a week for a checkup. I don't trust you to take care of your wounds by yourself." He sends it before he can think twice, then sets his phone face down beside him. He closes his eyes and presses his lips together and pretends that he's not an absolute idiot who's making a mistake that could ruin his life. If he'd been looking out the window, he may have seen Grian take out his phone and stumble. He stops and turns to stare at the door for a moment before typing into his phone. Mimic. "Expect me in 3 days." Grian keeps walking. Inside the house, Scar picks up his phone.